Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I finally made it to Dawson City, Yukon. And I'm at an overlook point above the city, which is called the Midnight Dome. You can read this sign. And this is the lookout. This is the city, and that's the Yukon River. And right over here is where the Klondike River flows into the Yukon River. I'm going to do a wide span of this area. There's some industrial operations over here. The Yukon River comes from the south. It has several islands here. It comes from the south there, and it splits into various streams around the islands. And it gets kind of narrow right here. It kind of looks like there's a mud barge there. Not mud barge, but I meant but a sandbar. A lot of rivers have sandbars in the middle or somewhere around them where they get very shallow. And then here you can see the Yukon going further up north towards Alaska. Several islands in it. This is way off to the left. The first thing I did when I got here was I went downtown to the city visitor center, and they told me that all of the RV parks are full. And there are several of them. And let me tell you, driving up here from Whitehorse, I think I saw more RVs than I saw any other kind of vehicle on the road. It's amazing how many people RV up here. And across the river on the other side is the top of the world highway. That's the start of it right there. You cross the river on the north side of town, going west towards Alaska, and that's it. Top of the world highway. It begins here and it ends a ways into Alaska. So that's where I'm going next. And all of the streets in this town are dirt. The only paved road is the highway coming into town. And the guy at the visitor center, he said since all the RV parks were full, that I could park my motorhome in the visitor center's parking lot tonight. Otherwise, I'm not sure where I would have to go to find a place to park. In fact, I can see my motorhome right there. Right in the middle of the picture is my motorhome. That's as far as I can zoom in. How about that? Here is a close-up of the Klondike River. And as it says here, it's Klondike River just before its confluence with the Yukon. There's this little opening between the bushes here where they have this display. This is a river I've never seen before, the Klondike. It's flowing pretty quick. heading for the merge with the Yukon. I was driving through some of the city streets and I came across this church. It looks really interesting. It looks like it went through an earthquake. Here's some more old buildings. Here's some stores that are open. And this might be a good place to take a look at the river. This is the Yukon, of course. This blackness right here might have been what I was seeing before. Up from the overlook on the top of the mountain there. And there is the ferry. The ferry is the only way to cross the river, at least in a vehicle besides a boat. Got a nice little park here. And this is the SS Kino that did a lot of shipping of merchandise and supplies back in the early years of the city. Does anybody know what this is? That's what it is. The overlook I was at a few minutes ago is way up there. Looks like they're trying to restore this building. And here's an old hotel, the Floridora. And they're open for business. There's the ferry, bringing an RV and some cars back over towards Dawson City. And that's the ferry I'll be getting on tomorrow to go the other direction. There's where the ferry goes on the other side of the river. And there's been a lot of debate for a long time about building a bridge across this river. And apparently the people here like it the way it is. Well, he made it off okay. And another one loading up, going west. I had dinner here, a regular souvlaki Greek dinner, $36.95. Ouch, things are expensive here, let me tell you. Here's a guy running a bicycle repair business out of an old school bus. How about that? And across the street from there is the Klondike Institute of Art and Culture. It is really a colorful little town. Peabody's Photo Parlor and the Red Mammoth Bistro. Here's an interesting little cafe, and it's right next to these two buildings. Looks like they've really had their day. This tells about it. And I bet this building has a story to tell as well. Looks like there's as many old buildings as new buildings here. You can drive up and down these streets and find all sorts of curiosities. And talk about colorful. They have a Masonic temple right across the street from Diamond Tooth Gertie's gambling hall. How about that? Well, folks, if this looks interesting to you, then I think this is something you might want to put on your bucket list. You can drive through town all day and look at all these very interesting buildings. And if you come by the post office, stopping here, make sure you turn your engines off. Well, folks, it's 1 a.m. in Dawson City, and the sun is still not sure if it wants to go down. It's been looking like that for well over an hour. That's the way it is up in the Great White North. You always get nice sunsets, and they last for 2 or 3 hours. Good day, folks.